does work.
Interesting.
Call to order, September 28th meeting of the Indian River County Planning and Zoning Commission. First order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
None? Can I get approval of the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, and next item is public hearing. Before I read that in the record, does anybody would like to speak on any of these public hearings? Please stand up and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. Okay, our first public hearing is a consideration of land development regulation, LDR amendment for the site plan review and approval procedures for solar facilities. This matter is legislative, and I'll turn it over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Ryan Sweeney, Interim Assistant Community Development Director. It's a long title. Tonight we have a request for land development regulation amendment for the site plan review and approval procedures for solar facilities. So a brief slide on the LDR process, LDR amendment process. LDR amendments are legislative in nature, meaning they're not quasi-judicial. There's not a set order of criteria per se. This does require a public hearing by the Planning and Zoning Commission, which will occur tonight with a recommendation to the BCC, and then a final public hearing by the BCC for final approval. So a background analysis on this amendment. An applicant, FPL, submitted an LDR amendment application to amend the review and approval procedures for solar facilities located within the A1, A2, and A3 zoning districts. Solar facilities originally required special exception approval, which included 2 public hearings, one by the Planning and Zoning Commission, one by the BCC. In February of 2022, in conjunction with FPL and recent Florida statutory requirements, the BCC approved a staff-initiated LDR amendment that changed solar facilities to a permitted use, so they were no longer special exception. However, they still require site plan approval, and most solar facilities, due to their size, still required P&Z approval because they were in excess of 150,000 square feet of new impervious area. The proposed LDR amendment will keep solar facilities as a major site plan, but they can now be reviewed and approved via the minor site plan review and approval process. Minor site plans can be approved by the Community Development Director, which we refer to as a staff level approval, will not require P&Z approval. Solar facilities will still require a comprehensive site plan review and must meet all applicable LDR requirements, and staff supports the requested LDR amendment. And with that, staff's recommendation is that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the BCC adopt the proposed solar facilities LDR amendment. Thank you.
Any questions of staff?
I have one really
Sure.
quick question, Ryan. Sorry. And I see, obviously, if the project's total new impervious area exceeds 150 square feet, then the major site plan still requires P&Z approval. I just want to, and I guess maybe this might be for the applicants. There was a question that came forth from FP&L not so long ago about there actually being impervious surface for as far as impact fees as the solar panels and the water rolls off. So I want to make sure they're not looking for a different definition of impervious surface here.
No, the impervious
Okay.
area that makes up for solar fields facilities is primarily the shell paths that they utilize for travel. As a policy, engineering or public works has applied a 70% multiplier as being 70% impervious as opposed to 100%. But because these fields are so big and those paths, just the length of going between the panels, it gets over 150,000 square feet pretty quick. But they are not seeking a difference in the definition of impervious.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
FPL is here just, and I do want to make a brief presentation.
Certainly. So at this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody would like to come forward and ask questions or speak, please do so.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt Silver from Florida Power and Light. I think we got just a couple slides. I won't take up too much of your time. It was about 9 months ago, I think, when I came and talked to you all about our last project here in Indian River County, and then I think another gentleman may have come a little short time after that for a second project named Orchard. But if you can go ahead and move to the next slide. So this is just a little bit about what we got going on here in Florida. We've got 66 operating solar sites in 24 different counties. We're spreading them out around the state. That really helps with kind of making sure no one cloud hits all of our solar at once. And also, we serve a large amount of the state, so we try to make sure we spread all of our generation near where our customers are as best we can. And then we've got 22 currently in construction. We tried to pull out the two there, highlighted in yellow, that are right here in Indian River County. That's Turnpike Solar and Orchard Solar. Orchard does straddle the line. It's about half in Indian River, half in St. Lucie. And then if you go, and then just a little note there, we represent about 65% of the total solar in Florida. I believe it was just this year, it was, we passed North Carolina. We're now third in the country, Florida is, for installed solar capacity. And the two ahead of us are Texas and California, two states that are bigger than us and two states with more population. So there's a lot of logic behind that. I don't know that we'd ever pass those two states. North Carolina was a bit of an outlier that they were ahead of us, but we made sure that we didn't let that last too long. If you want to go ahead and move to the next slide. And within Indian River County, you know, we have a lot of families, a lot of our workers here work in Indian River County. There's about 86,000 homes that we serve, and you can see the 6 solar sites there. And what we tried to show here on the map is, you know, solar energy centers, you know, they're going to be out in the rural sides of counties such as Indian River. I can't imagine us ever finding land anywhere near I-95, or certainly not east of I-95. We all know what's going on with development, you know, up and down the Treasure Coast. The land's too expensive for what we can afford for solar. And if you know of anybody selling 500-600 acres for a reasonable price, I'm happy to hand out business cards before I leave. But beyond that, you know, each of these solar sites, they total up to be about 82,000 homes powered. So we're not quite to where we can say, like, at one point in time during the day, all the power in Indian River County is coming from solar, but we're getting there. We're doing our best. This is equal to taking about 77,000 cars off the road when it comes to emissions. So I personally live in Port St. Lucie, so the Indian River Lagoon's obviously very important for all of us. You know, emissions, you know, runoff, I guarantee you the last thing we'd ever do is fertilize a site. You know, these are all very good things for the environment. Even outside of the obvious, we're not emitting, you know, carbon dioxide. And then the last thing that's, you know, also important for a lot of counties, you know, this is $6.7 million in tax revenue last year. Each site's usually good for about $200,000-300,000 as we add them. But again, the real focus here is, you know, all of these are in the St. John's Improvement District. If any of you know Mr. John Lang, who is the manager out there, I can promise you nothing gets by him. He's a really good friend, but he's also, he runs a tight ship out there. And this is really my last slide. The next one just shows questions. I'm happy to answer your questions we have about solar. And we also have Brian Nolan, who's our planner from Lucido Associates, if you want to get into the code.
Any questions for Mr. Silver? None? Thank you, Mr. Silver.
Thank you.
Okay, would anybody else like to come forward and speak? Okay, none. At that time, I'll close the public hearing. Are there any further questions for staff? None? Can I please get a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Go ahead, Jordan.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion to approve? Second. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Next order of business is a consideration of the ordinance of Indian River County, Florida, amending the future land use map of a comprehensive plan by changing future land use map designation for 1.65 acres located on the east side of US Highway 1 between Jackson Street and 132nd Street from M1, medium density residential, which is up to 8 units per acre, and CI, commercial industrial. At this time, we'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A new face in the crowd. This is our newest long-range senior planner, Cindy Thurman. She'll be presenting this item.
I joined the team in April, and I'm really pleased to present this item as the first time in front of you tonight. This item is a proposal to change the future land use map designation of the subject property from M1, medium density residential, to C1, CI, which is commercial industrial. The subject property consists of 2 contiguous parcels in the Roseland area that together total 1.65 acres. One parcel is undeveloped and one parcel is developed with a 2-unit office complex. The proposed amendment will correct the existing inconsistency by amending the existing future land use designation of medium density to commercial industrial. The commercial industrial future land use designation is a general commercial land use designation that is consistent with commercial uses allowable in the existing CL zoning district. A look at the future land use pattern in the area shows that the property to the north, south, west lies within the city of Sebastian and along the Highway US 1 commercialized corridor, and you can see that here in the gray. The amendment is analyzed against the following criteria. Next slide. Whether it has a significant impact upon public facilities, whether it is consistent with the comprehensive plan, whether it is compatible with the surrounding area, and potential impact on environmental quality. The examination of the impact upon transportation, water, wastewater, solid waste, stormwater management, and recreation. And when this parcel comes in for development, a detailed concurrency that matches the development review will be done at the time. So when the specific development site plan comes in, the specific concurrency will be done for that specific use. The criteria requires that we examine the policy of the comprehensive plan for consistency when making the land use map amendments. The proposed amendment is consistent with the second criterion of policy 14.3, a mistake in the approved plan. The amendment will correct an inconsistency with the existing zoning. This is infill development, and we do not anticipate that there will be any environmental impacts once the final parcel comes in for development. Again, we're looking for compatibility. These are the surrounding existing uses. Most are commercial and mixed use, with the exception of the mobile home subdivision to the east. In conclusion, this amendment will correct the future land use designation and permit commercial uses allowed in the limited commercial zoning district. It's consistent with policy 14.3 of the county's comprehensive plan and is compatible with surrounding uses, compatible with the overall comprehensive plan. It'll have no overall environmental impacts, and staff supports this request. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners at their next report meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Anyone?
From my understanding, this was just an oversight at that point in time for this, and we can take no consideration for what's actually planned on that site with this particular decision today. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, we were focusing strictly on the land use designation, which again is clearly an oversight. This property was zoned commercial even before the comprehensive plan existed, so it was an error in the map.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Any further questions? None. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody who would like to come forward and speak, please do.
Good evening, Dwayne Dickerson on behalf of one of the two property owners. Law firm is Dene Misco & Backman, offices at 14 Southeast 4th Street in Boca Raton. Just wanted to thank staff for a very thorough analysis and report. We concur with their findings, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions for this gentleman? None? Okay. Anybody else like to come forward and speak? None? I will close the public hearing. Are there any further questions? None? Can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Okay, next order of business would be Commissioner Matters. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss? None? Planning matters?
Well, we'll have to tell Dr. Day he can take more meetings off. We'll set a record here.
I have to shave about 7 minutes off.
I remember. We are hoping to cancel the October 12th P and Z, but we will most likely have the October 26th meeting.
Thank you, sir. Attorney matters? None. None? This meeting is adjourned.
Good. Yeah, the record is like 7. But